Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. I'm here with my sidekick as always, Tate Mathews. Welcome, Tate. We have a lot to talk about, including, now get this, had a couple state titles this week. What was your week like? Well, we added a couple state titles. We now in WCS, Tate, after the completion of 4 sports, 4 state team titles, 3 runners-up, and an individual title. The rich keep getting richer out here in WCS when it comes to athletics, Tate.
Hey, it's like the great American philosopher Ric Flair once said, whether you like it or not, you best learn to live with it because it's the best thing going today.
It is. And to our friend Tom Krieger out there that keeps saying we need to do a Ruco Cup, Tom, you didn't come up with that. That was actually Mr. Dr. Qualls.
He wasn't doctor then, but yes, Dr. Qualls.
He came up with that, and if I'm not mistaken, it fell through because our friends in RCS. We were going to do it, and we were doing it in the Jamboree, then people couldn't decide who they're going to play. And anyway.
Well, to my knowledge, to my recollection, a couple of them stood up and said, on their side, I ain't doing it. Have fun, I'm not doing it, and got up and walked out. End of meeting.
Okay. Anyway, we digress, Mr. Mathews. But let's talk some of those team state titles.
Tell me about those state champions.
What do you mean, who they are?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, we start off in golf, we've got a runner-up, right? Then in volleyball, we've got the juggernaut that is Brownwood, and we have Nolansville.
Might be a juggernaut.
Definitely. Then we go soccer, which you and I attended this week.
Yes.
We go Ravenwood with the championship, Franklin the runner-up, and then we go into cross country. We get Brentwood girls state champion, and then runner-up Franklin boys. So actually, since our last show, which has only been a week, 2 state titles and 2 runners-up. It's just incredible.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's exciting. And how close was that Ravenwood state championship? How close are Ravenwood and Franklin? They had to go to penalty kicks. That's the last resort, you know.
Well, talk about that, Mr. Mathews. We were there, and I'm going to say shout out to you. Listen, you go to a lot of these events too. It's pretty impressive. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're not just our team sports rep, but you're also a big part of what we do outside of that, and we appreciate you going. You were there with me. We've got Franklin, we've got Ravenwood, we've got the Franklin and Ravenwood section, some of which who had never been to a soccer match, a friendly, a game, none of it before, and they were cheering weird cheers, not knowing when to cheer, but it was great. They were into it. What an atmosphere.
Well, let's be honest. You're talking about the Franklin student section. There was a lot of football players there, saw some basketball players, very well attended. Coach Ruth, he's still Coach Ruth to me, Mr. Ruth, and Coach Ruck were there, and you're right, it was neat. Their enthusiasm, A+. Their involvement, A+. Knowledge of the game, F. But that's okay. It was fun. They were even heckling them a little bit, and it was great to see. It was a beautiful day. The sun was out, and I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to kind of go on my soapbox. TWSAA, they keep giving out tutorials on how to social distance and thing. That's the first event that they've been in charge of that I've been to. Great job, guys. Way to lead by example. But hey, it was a big crowd. It was fun to watch. They're kind of on my nerves right now.
Easy. This is a family show. Come on, man.
I didn't say that.
No, but I can read your thoughts. If you had a little bubble that came up above.
Maybe Lance can put one of those little...
Hey, let's talk about this, Mr. Mathews. The goalies, and it's so interesting about soccer. I feel like I've learned this a little bit the past couple of years. There can be no score, but somebody can be dominating. The shots on goal, which side of the field the ball is staying on. Early on, Franklin.
No doubt.
As it progressed, Ravenwood. In the 2 overtimes before the penalty kicks, Franklin's, I don't know if you know this, 6-1 shots on goal for Franklin. Doesn't matter. They get the PKs. And here's something I thought was interesting. Coach Mancini there at Ravenwood, this takes some guts, even though it was part of their plan. So they've got Lexi Grunler, and I hope I'm saying that right, Lexi, in goal, a freshman, gets 9 saves during the match. When it goes PKs, what do? They bring in Kendall Curran, the sophomore, to finish up. That takes guts because there's going to be some scrutiny if you don't win.
Oh, heck yeah, but that's pretty neat. Obviously, that's pretty neat. I did not know that. I'm assuming that's not your gym because you didn't say it, but
No.
that dang sure could have been a gym. That was strong. And there were a couple. There was one shot on goal that Franklin had. It
Mathews.
literally hit the crossbar, came down right in front of the line. How it didn't go in, I don't know. But you're right. It was a game of momentum swings. It was fun to watch. I had a blast.
Matty Taylor, the junior for Franklin, in goal with 8 saves, did a great job. Eventually, in PKs, it was 4-2 Ravenwood. All goals by seniors, which I thought was kind of neat for them. Anna Major, Nora Henderson, Maddie Gleason, and the final one from Josie Ricketts. But also, congratulations to Coach Burgoyne, because I thought it was obvious in watching the teams. It's obvious to me just the way they look. Ravenwood, the veteran squad, I think if they admitted it, Franklin maybe got there a year earlier than they expected. Look for the Admirals, and I've said it here today.
Calling it.
Looking for a state championship, maybe 2 over the next 3 years.
Yeah, I think that'd be a safe bet. And
Since they've got 14 overall, I thought I'd step out on a limb.
yeah, you're. Well, let me guess, you're going to predict Brentwood volleyball next year? Hey, a lot of young ladies that were impressive, but on the Ravenwood side, the winning side, Nora Henderson, Coach Daniels needs to bring her out for the playoff run. She is tough.
Definitely tough.
Fun to watch, competitor.
Speaking of state championships, congratulations to the Brentwood girls for their state championship and the Franklin boys for their runners-up finish at Saunders Ferry last week. I was out there for that too, by the way. Mr. Mathews, great weather once again. In fact, for the runners, they might even have said a little warm because they like it about 50. Right, maybe 50, maybe 55. It was approaching 70, but it was such a wonderful day. And here's something I thought that was pretty interesting. In fact, it's the gym. Brentwood's girls. Look at their senior class. Freshman year, 4th. Sophomore year, 3rd. Junior year, 2nd.
Runner-up.
Senior year win. And guess what else they did? This is actually incredible to me. They finished first at every meet. Undefeated cross-country season. That's just Coach Rob out there did a great job. Those young ladies did a great job. That is a big-time performance.
That's like going the AP poll, #1, wire to wire.
That's it.
I like that. Let's call that wire to wire.
That's
That'd
it.
be a good T-shirt. I like it. Congrats.
Caitlin Vanderkolk led the way with 3rd, sophomore Brooke Till 9th, seniors Eden Middlesdorf, Brownwood Harris also in that race, freshman Peyton Strauss. So congratulations to them. Also, not to be forgotten, Independence finishes 3rd. Jane and Julia Halterman finish 11th and 13th, and then Paige Lee Walters finishes 7th in her final race. What a dominant runner she's been.
Yeah, going to be sad to see her go. I'm sure we'll see her in track, though. So,
I think we will.
but cross country, that book's closed. But what a great career, man.
Hey,
Great career.
Here's something that's going to be interesting. Because don't forget this, by the way. I didn't mention this yet. Our girl from Fairview, back-to-back state champion.
Yes.
Alyssa Andrea, the sophomore from Fairview, also wins a state title. So when I start thinking Wilco's, is it Walters? Had a great year. Is it Vanderkolk, finished top 5 in every race, the top finisher for WCS? Or is it Miss Andrea, again, state title, congratulations to her, she wins a state title. It's going to be tough.
Going to be tough. Kind of hard to go against a state champion.
It is. And by the way, the Fairview boys finished 4th. So congratulations to Fairview. Speaking of boys teams, let's talk boys cross country. Cormac, Carolyn, congratulations. Great job this year. Hudson Hurst was the top finisher. He finished 17th. Their top 5 runners also included Eli Zaney, Graham Ferguson, David Brown, Tyson Haslam. They finished 2nd overall. But take a look at Hardin Valley, by the way. That is not a misprint, Mr. Mathews. Their runners finished 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 7th, 17th. So they finished with a 33. Low score wins, right?
Yeah.
And then Franklin is like 134.
Good Lord.
So they basically beat them by 101 places. So Franklin, congratulations for the runner-up, and you don't have to feel bad that somebody was just a little bit off. I've never seen something like that, have you?
No, that's strong.
You know something else I didn't know?
I'm sitting there looking at it going, this is a misprint.
This could be a gym too. Do you know they do the finishes based on people that are in there as a team? So if you go run as an individual and you finish 1st, the top finisher may be second from the team, so they're actually the number one finisher. Like the individuals don't count.
Right.
If I'm there as an individual, it doesn't go in the team finals. Did you know that?
I did not.
I learned that this weekend trying to figure out all the scores, so I thought that was interesting. Again, Franklin second, Ravenwood ninth.
I'm hoping those guys all graduate.
I hope so too, or at least don't come back. And then Brentwood finished 10th on the boys' side. Make sure on the girls I got them all in. Yes, Franklin 7th, Indy 3rd, Brentwood 1st. So once again, just a great job. Kevin Vanderkook led the district, by the way, with the second place finish. So if you're in the Vanderkook household, you've got a second, a third, and a state championship.
That's a pretty good fall.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Hey, before we get to our football playoff talk here week one, a couple things I want to bring up. Reclassification, which you and I haven't been a total fan of in terms of going to 4 classes. So in basketball, our larger schools, they go 2 different directions. Franklin, Centennial, and Brentwood are all in the same district. And then you've got Ravenwood, Nolansville, Independence, and Summit. So Brentwood and Ravenwood aren't in the same basketball district.
Right. Geography 101. I was going to say, is it the north and the south, but then
Well,
I think Franklin is south of Ravenwood.
There's some metro teams scattered in, but when you look at the total picture, it probably was all geographic, but I just think that part of it's too bad. In 6A, though, in football, I love it. Because now it's all
but man, it was already tough. Woo, super duper tough now.
So out goes Dixon, in comes Summit. So, again, Dixon, we just got to speak the truth here. It was one you could mark on your schedule as win, win, win. But what do? We get rid of Dixon and replace them with Summit. Not so good for the other 5 teams.
The Navy and Orange is still the same, but
performance a little
bit
different.
better. Yeah. Hey, oof. This is going to make and it's already so. I've been talking to a lot of these guys throughout the week. You know, right now is the time of year where you're scheduling because we're at the end of a 2-year contract cycle. So they already have a hard enough time scheduling non-districts, and now you just took out, like you said, a win to a dogfight, and they're having a hard time getting. None of them are having a very easy time getting non-district games right now or non-region games. So it's going to be fun, though.
You know, trying to see the cup half full. If you're talking about baseball, for example, you've got Franklin, Centennial, Brentwood in one district. You got Ravenwood, Nolansville, Indy, Summit in another. 2 of those teams are probably always going to make the region.
Right.
So that is better. But, you know, you talk to the baseball coaches. A bunch of those guys didn't want it.
No. I think they liked what they had.
They loved what they had.
3-game series. And
I think it's – so anyway, not a huge fan of it. Something we have to deal with, and we will definitely move forward and continue to do well, I'm sure.
That's right.
Mr. Football, semifinalist, Jackson Campbell, the QB at Independence, Jake Brenningstool, Mr. Do Everything, really, for Ravenwood, and Destin Wade, no surprise, 3 semifinalists for Mr. Football.
3 semifinalists. I think we have a good chance of bringing home both of them.
I do too.
A 6A and a 5A. We could also whiff on both of them, but I think we got a really good chance. I'm really happy. I knew Destin wouldn't. You know, Destin only has, 6 games of stats. Glad to see he was not penalized for that. And Jackson only has about 6 games of stats. Neither one of them were penalized. By the way, the 6 game of stats he has looks like 15. So, but I think from talking to the guys, I think Brenningstool is probably the favorite in 6A. And what's funny about that, but I like that. That means they had good discussions. He's probably got the worst stats. You know what I'm saying? Just because of the way they play him on offense. He doesn't have as big a yards, touchdowns. But you look at his production offensively and defensively, holy smokes, man. I don't know that anybody's better. But and in Destin, I think it's going to come down to him and probably the guy from Davy Crockett. But I think we got a chance of winning both of them.
You know what's interesting to me, and right or wrong on this, and certainly he's deserving, the fact that Brenningstool has committed to Clemson, I assure you matters.
Heck yeah.
When people go to vote, and there may be, I don't know for sure, he's going to Clemson, let me mark him in.
Right. Well, and like I said, I mean, they've had to play him more on defense, and he could be all-state in defense if he wanted to. So we saw it firsthand against CPA. We always knew he was a matchup problem in the slot. You put him out at split end, if they go man coverage, it's over.
It's over.
I mean,
it's over. Let's talk last week's first round. Brentwood, 45, Cane Ridge, 13. And what was impressive not only about the win was a couple of things. First of all, Brentwood had 34 players out. Granzow goes down for the third straight year in the playoffs. Hopefully he's going to be back this week. He goes out early. But do you remember us talking about this a few games ago? I said, hey, a little peek into the future.
Right.
Davis White comes in and has a great, it was like one of those games they blew somebody out. What a dream game for that young man. 17 for 19, 247 yards, 5 touchdowns, and the first play of the game he's playing wide receiver. Hey, Davis, look, I know you're playing wide out. If you don't mind, get behind center and do your thing. Got it, Coach?
Yeah. And it's not like they put him back there and ran him. And he didn't go 3 for 5. He went 17 for 19, over 90%, upper 90% passing. I mean, that's unheard of, man. That is strong. 5 touchdowns. Seems like Walker Merrill's healthy again. This was a good win, man. Hey, Cane Ridge got started late. Everybody knows Cane Ridge is usually the one over there that if they're going to be able to pick one of us off in this first round of the playoffs, it's them. They had a huge win over Laverne last week. Looked like they were really playing well. I mean, that's domination right there.
No doubt. Walker Merrill, speaking of him, Matt Davenport-esque stats, 10 receptions, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns. Luke Walters, we keep saying his name, 24 rushes, 91 yards. Mark Hirschman, a couple of receiving touchdowns. And what I thought was impressive, and I heard this, and I meant this when I said it, they were worried about more people being out on defense. And I'm saying, if I'm that staff and it's me looking at Brentwood, that's the side I would want the most depleted. Not because they can afford it. I have that much confidence in Coach Crawford and what they do defensively. Agreed?
100%. I mean, that's 5 passing touchdowns from your second string quarterback. That's pretty explosive.
No doubt. Independence. You mentioned Laverne earlier. They're packing up their stuff, probably already packed at this point. They get to host a game. What happens? Independence comes down and lays the smack down on them, 49-14. I mean, hey, listen, we got these state titles this week.
You're jacked.
I'm juiced, man.
I like it.
I'm juiced. Jackson Campbell.
Got me fired up.
Jackson Campbell, 2 touchdowns in his first 6 attempts. Like some of this stuff you read that Jackson Campbell does, you don't even think it's real. It's kind of like the Hardin Valley cross-country team. He was 11 for 14, 264 yards, and 4 touchdowns in the first half.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And again, this is 6A playoff ball. This was the number 2 seed in Region 5A. Laverne's a good football team. Stood no chance. I'm telling you, we talk a lot about matchups. I knew this was a bad matchup for Laverne.
You did. I think you mentioned it last week.
Yeah, yeah. And first half, and that's the other thing, held Laverne to 103 yards rushing. They've got now I don't know how much Ray Banner played. Doesn't matter. They're an athletic bunch. They have the leading rusher in the mid-state, and in 6A maybe. And defense is playing well. We've talked about that. What Coach Blade likes to play a lot of guys. He tries to 2 platoon as much as he can, and the defensive line at Independence is never going to be the biggest. But, man, they know what they're doing.
They do.
They play assignment football. They play hard. And Coach Blade knows what he's doing, man. That's a big win.
Franklin, the number 4 seed, 49. At Smyrna, the number 1 seed, 13. So, again, almost identical scores, by the way. 49-14 against Laverne, 49-13 against Smyrna for Franklin. All WCS second round, which means we'll have 2 quarterfinalists, two semis, right? Did I say that right? No.
No, 2 quarter.
2 quarter,
yeah.
1 semi. 2 quarter, 1 semi.
Right.
Guaranteed of that right now, no matter what happens.
Correct.
Total yards, 560 yards for Franklin, just over 200 for Smyrna. Connor Bevan, he had kind of Jackson Campbell kind of numbers first half too. For the game, 18 for 24, 378 yards, 4 touchdowns. Carson repass, 4 receptions, 130 yards. You always like to do your little calculator. If I do 30 yards times 4, it's 120. Oh, you did better than that. So 130 yards.
Yeah.
Mitch Lanik, a name we haven't really called much this year. Congratulations to Mitch. 7 receptions, 102 yards. Mr. Spirito, 88 yards receiving and a touchdown. Garner, 58 yards and a touchdown. A couple of running touchdowns for DJ Durham. Bryce Sparks, a rushing touchdown. Admirals dominated.
Firing on all cylinders. Connor Bevan now with a shade under or right at 2,400 yards. We got to think he's going to pass for at least 100 this week. 2,500 passing yards. Great job to Coach Andrew Holcomb coaching the offense. And I guess we're going to have to quit calling Coach Webb Dr. Defense. Maybe it's Air Webb or whatever.
Air Don.
Air Donnie. Ooh. Yeah.
It's like Don Coryell.
Oh, man.
With the Chargers back in the
Chargers,
day.
that's right. What, the
John Jefferson.
Super Bowl runner-ups, weren't they? I think so.
Super Bowl?
I think so.
Don't think they made a Super Bowl with him.
Check it, Mr. Producer. Check, see if they lost to Dick Vermeil, Dennis Harrison. Where was Dennis on that team? The Philadelphia Eagles.
No, Raiders beat the Eagles on that team. Check it out.
Check it.
Check it. I think I'm going to be right on this one.
Maybe not the Eagles. Check it.
Ravenwood, number 2 seed, they get a walkover from Stewart's Creek because they weren't able to play. So now Ravenwood not only moves on, but they're going to be a week rested, which we talked about a little bit last week. So it's got to be an advantage for them going to this week. We'll talk about their matchup here in just a bit. Here's no surprise. Summit, 42, Hillwood, 6. And I give Coach Coleman credit. It was 42-0 at the half. They could have scored 100 points. They really couldn't. They backed off. The clock was running. They didn't even score again. I'm sure they were trying to, but not overly trying to. Destin Wade, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing. Summit, 316 yards. You heard that right. 316 rushing. Big night.
Yeah, Destin did all that in the first half, 42-0. Here's what I love the most, though. The Puppies came in the second half. Didn't score as many points. Summit, 0 punts in the entire game. They punted none. So I guess the only bad thing about that is they didn't get to work on their long snapping and punting. But
if that's the worst thing that happened to you, you lived a pretty good week.
Hey, Brandon King, 9 carries, 82 yards, deep hole, rushing touchdown. Brady Pierce, 2 receiving touchdowns. A lot of people were around the ball. They haven't played since October 8th on Thursday night against Franklin County. A lot of people were worried about the rust. Some people, the pundits, some good friends of ours, thought Hillwood had a good game plan and was going to keep this thing close. Not close.
We'll remind those people that next time we see them.
Yes.
No doubt about it. Nolansville. Now here's maybe, I thought one of the more impressive wins of the week. I knew they were going to win. I really felt that way.
Yeah, you did.
But Nolansville dominated Livingston Academy. 38-14. Livingston gets a good start to the game. They hold the ball for 9 minutes. They convert a couple of 4th downs. They go up 7-0. Nolansville scores the next 38 points. Ryder Gallardi, big night. 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing. Sampson, touchdown. Johnson, 113 yards rushing and a touchdown. 418 yards of offense for Coach Derrick and the Knights. They've got it going at just the right time.
Yep, big win, and we knew it was going to happen. Gallardi played, seems like he's playing his best ball of the year. That's what we want to see. Sampson does what Sampson does, and we got another big matchup coming for the Knights. But a good win. I know they're happy. This time it was at home. They didn't have to drive all the way to Livingston, head up 111, and then come back. That's a long drive. So congrats to the Knights.
Couple of losses, so we want to mention these at the end.
Yeah.
And also to congratulate these folks on a great season. Fairview, I know they were a little disappointed. I really thought that Fairview might have had the worst luck of all this.
Yeah.
When they had to go out for 14 days, Nardozzi going down, not playing as much the last few games, drop a tough game to Stewart County where they're ahead most of the game. They lose at the end. A couple of conversions they don't get or they win the game. Then they have to face East Nashville, which is a really good team in the first round. They lose that 26-13. So I know Coach Hughes and the Yellow Jackets are disappointed, but still, what a great program. Here's what's interesting to me. I think they'll look at it and go, dang, we feel disappointed. They lose the region by 1 point. They host a region game and lose. They end up 7-4 for the season, but yet I know they feel disappointed. That means you've got a good program.
Oh yeah. You know, you're expecting big things at a place like that. It was. I saw Coach Hughes' quote, and he said, you know, that coming up short against Stewart County really put them in a bind. There was a big difference between Stratford and East Nashville, and you know, I don't.
And even if they win,
You got Pearl.
I mean,
Yeah.
and I think maybe in their minds they knew it.
Yeah. Well, not having your alpha dog, that doesn't help. But the thing that was crazy is they took the opening drive down the field, 7-0, looked to be in control. But and hey, let me tell you something. Fairview's a top-notch program, so shout out to Coach Jamal Stewart in his first year as head coach in East Nashville. They're a good program, man. And the Rontavious Gregory is a dude, and you saw that. I don't know. I think with scheduling Lebanon, I think that was a great idea by Coach Hughes, but you just don't see that kind of speed that you see out of East Nashville and Pearl Cone unless you play them. And so I don't know. Maybe get a non-region with those guys during the regular season or somebody like that, but it is a different level of speed, and Gregory showed that on that late touchdown run. That the game was pretty much over, but the one that sealed it when he took off, like they hadn't seen speed like that all year.
Couple guys I want to mention because I know Coach Hughes did in his closing remarks: Riley Bennett, Kason Edmondson, Jacob Clevenger, Brody Cox, and obviously Nardozzi, who are very special players not only to Coach Hughes but also the Fairview program. Final game, just really outmatched. Page 7, Hillsboro 43. So even though they were the number 2 seed, they would have been better off being the 3 seed. But they end up 2. They get a home game, which is good, but really a game that they probably were going to lose 29 times out of 30, really, if you want to be honest about it. So Coach Rathbone, and I'm saying this, would they finish up 5-5? To me, they might have had, if you look at expectation, talent coming back, experience they had coming back, they had a great year, really. And I'm telling you, it's going to catapult them into a really, really good year next year, in my opinion.
100%. And if I know it's hard for them, but if you were able to rewind the clock to the way they felt after that Fairview game, I'm not so sure they thought they were going to win a game. They felt that bad about where they were at the time. Now, they were young. So you're right. I think what they ended up doing, and God, look at the draw, man. If they had just been the 3rd seed, they'd have played Columbia. I think they beat them. But Hillsboro Page, it's a lot like East Nashville Fairview, man. That was just it's starting to sound corny, but it is what it is. That was a bad matchup for them.
It was.
McNamara's back next year.
Oh, yes.
Get ready. He's going to have a big year.
He will. All right, Tate, let's go straight into pick'ems. We'll talk a little bit about these games as we go to pick'ems. Last week, we were both 6-1. The game we missed was Fairview on our pick'ems.
Yep.
The fans and Dr. Qualls, 5-2.
Who'd they miss? Fairview and who?
Page. They both picked Page.
Gotcha.
Dr. Qualls, 47 wins. The fans, 48 wins. You and I, 52 wins. We're tied going into round 2 of the play.
You and I are kind of – this is kind of like at Keeneland. We're kind of pulling ahead. We're separating.
No doubt. So let's start. We'll go pick'ems. We'll talk a little bit about the games, and we'll also pick them. Okay. Remember, fans, get out there and still go. WCS CO Athletics, vote on all of the matchups. Again, that'll be available for you on game day. The first matchup, it's a rematch from a couple of weeks ago, which Indy won 26-21. And you get the first pick because I'm a gentleman.
Okay.
I want to make sure that you get the first choice on this. Brownwood versus Independence. Who you got?
Round 2. I missed this one the last time. There's a lot that goes into this. Independence won last time. Brentwood came storming back. Will Mr. Granzow play? Or how many of the 34 that were out for Brentwood, will they be back? How healthy is Independence? I don't know. This is a heck of a game. Here's what I'm going to do because I love getting the hateful text messages from our good friend Dash 2 Sports, Mr. Dashiell. I'm kidding on the hateful, but they're a little bit hateful. I'm going Brentwood. I think it's hard to beat. I think it's hard to beat somebody twice. Plus, I'm sure Coach Blade likes it. Every time I pick against Independence, they win, and I can tell that I have discomforted you.
You did, but I'm going to say this with confidence. I'm going Indy.
Let's go! Separation Friday.
And let me tell you why I'm going Indy. There's a couple of reasons. I think there's still some question marks about people playing, right?
Yeah.
They didn't play last week. If they do play, maybe it's a rested week, and maybe that serves as an advantage.
This one will be at Brentwood, correct?
At Brentwood.
Yeah.
At the time of this show, we don't necessarily know it, and we talked about matchups. Even full strength, we feel like this is a pretty good matchup for Indy.
I think it's a pick 'em.
So because of that, I'm going with Coach Blade and Independence. As much as I love Coach Crawford and as much as I would love to say, hey, yeah, because I'm going with Indy.
I think you have a good chance. I think it's fair to call this one a pick 'em.
The rest we're going to pick the same, by the way. Matchup number 2, it's a rematch of Week 3. Ravenwood won 42-21. Ravenwood, number 2 seed versus Franklin. I'll start with the pick. I think Franklin plays it a lot closer than last time. I still think Ravenwood comes out on top. I think Ravenwood, more than any team, is trending in the right direction.
Turning upward. I'm going to go with Ravenwood. I think Franklin keeps this closer than people think. Connor Bevan will have a good game. Coach Webb will have a good game plan. Ravenwood's just got too much firepower, and it's kind of funny that a team that's had the success that Ravenwood's had the past 5 years, they got a chip on their shoulder. I don't think that's good.
They do.
I don't think that's good. And I think they're the most physical.
They definitely have a chip. Nolansville, number 2 seed at DeKalb County, number 1 seed. They're coming in at 7-4. Who do you have in this one, Mr. Mathews?
DeKalb County has the Mid-State's leading passer, Mr. Football semifinalist, Axel Aldino. What a cool name.
That's a fantastic
That's a
name.
fantastic, especially when he's a all over the place quarterback. It does not matter. Super sophomore, Samson Johnson. I'm calling it now. 3 total touchdowns. Paulie D and the Knights get the win.
I agree, and that will lead me into the next pick, which we don't really have to talk about much. Summit versus Columbia. It's not a matter of if, when, it's how much. Summit dominates. Get your little hat on. Get the glasses on. It's not even going to be close.
Wait a second.
Summit versus Columbia.
Wait a second. Coach Coleman, what was that score, that Summit Hillwood score?
42-6.
Coach Coleman
He just left it on.
Coach Coleman was on the Duck River. Yes, 15 HP Evinrude on the back, boat race. I think this one could be a playoff boat race.
I agree. Mr. Mathews, looking forward to Friday night. Get out and watch games, right? You always tell our...
Get out there and support them, man. I think we got a good chance to get multiple teams or a couple of teams to Cookeville. It's going to be a fun Friday night.
And I'm feeling state championship number 5 coming up after football.
5 and 6?
Just at least 5.
Wow.
Get crazy yet.
I can't wait to
I'm
hear that.
juiced up today, but maybe not quite that juiced.
So, regardless of what happens, one way or the other next week, there will be someone sitting atop number 1 alone.
That's correct.
This is going to
And there will still be a couple, the fans and Dr. Qualls, battling for last. Right now, Dr. Qualls is last.
I think he's in trouble.
I think he's in trouble too. Tate, good to see you.
You too, brother.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Sports Connection.